Go ahead, Zema. But I wanted to read something before we get into the
Oh, sorry.
Q&A.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah,
said
is
that.
that
Yeah,
okay?
sorry.
Thank you. So just bear with me. Write your question down so you don't forget it. So in view of the title of the class, I'm going to read, and once the reading is done, we can actually get into the Q&A. Right. I incarnate from time to time for those who are in need of my presence in the flesh. I am truth. By the hand of the spiritual guide, Al-Qut. Which one are you? Have you ever felt as if there was more to your life than you were aware of? Have you found yourself reminiscing about things you presently have no knowledge of? Or are you totally content with your existence here on earth and never contemplate on that which lies beyond the physical plane? Seriously, think about the answers you give these questions, for they may vary. For they may very well determine if you are a celestial being or a terrestrial being. What does this mean? First of all, celestial is that which relates to the heavens and is ethereal, immortal, angelic, divine. Terrestrial is that which is within your planet's atmosphere, that which is earthly or worldly. There are those beings who are spiritually born and have incarnated here on earth. Their incarnation into this plane has brought about psychic powers, which makes them feel different from others. They suffer a great deal of humiliation, sadness, and depression. Their lives are often burdened with emotions they cannot explain, which may result in an undefined nervous breakdown. Have you ever known someone who you automatically labeled as crazy because their ways and actions were so unlike your own? Well, it is very possible that this unusual person you have encountered is not crazy, but a celestial being. On the other hand, there are those beings who are born and conceived on earth. Most of their lives are much easier lived than celestial beings. They rarely feel out of place or out of touch with their surroundings. This person you may have encountered is a terrestrial being. I ask you now, are you body, soul, and spirit of this realm? Or are you body, soul, and spirit of another realm? You must broaden your thinking to the realization that there are other realms and other beings that exist within these realms. You see, your planet Earth has shifted and you are now embarking upon a new era. Thus, this time is coming when spiritual events are taking place. The climate is changing. The temperature of the western part of the Grand Canyon is shifting. The ice age is melting, etc. All of this is happening because the center of your planet, in the center of your planet, there is an opening. Through this opening, you will find inside the core of your planet, there is a tropical land where beings from other galaxies have come. These supreme beings have come to guide you, and in their efforts have been called many things by those who have little understanding. A spiritual contact by these supreme beings has at one time or another been acquired by even the least educated man. This is possible, for the spirit of the omnipotent resides in us all, that essence which generates the life force within every living, breathing entity. Once you have accepted this, more avenues of thought are introduced into your life, which will better help you to determine whether you are a celestial being or a terrestrial being. Unidentified flying objects. Unidentified flying objects, UFOs, are nothing new. They are labeled as unidentified. However, they are identifiable only to those whom they wish to reveal the mysteries unattainable to mortal man. What are these UFOs? They are vehicles of transportation for other forms of intelligence much higher than yours, who would travel through space as gases and or light. It was not until they got into the lower spheres of your planet that they materialized in this form of materialization. They were visible to some. Many learned men have been in contact with them and in turn have misinterpreted the knowledge acquired through their encounter. Sightings are mentioned as far back as Master Ezekiel's time in the book of Ezekiel, now found in the Old Testament. He reported an object similar to a wheel in the skies. Movies have also contributed to the misinterpretation of these supreme beings. They are depicted so that you will be discouraged and afraid to communicate with them. In doing this, your chance of elevating your spiritual body altogether hindered. You are encouraged to believe that the existence of such beings is unreal. But the fact that so many people have spotted their vehicles of travel from different parts of the world is proof that they do exist. The reality of people experiencing unexplained encounters awakens you to a phenomenon that is not impossible. The Masters. The Masters are responsible for keeping the universe in order. It is by way of these Masters of old that most of the knowledge concerning the mysteries was related to your planet Earth. We came to you as incarnations and possessing qualities of far ahead of your time. Because of this, our teachings have been misconstrued by many who choose to idolize us. It is related that Master Jesus said, "You cannot know the spiritual unless you are born again." He knew, as I know, the secrets of life and death, for he was an incarnation of the divine in the flesh, an avatar. Avatars are the realization, the manifestation of the wishes of the world. By this I mean, avatars came in the past to help other nations of people, and we are here now to remove the karma of this planet and change its fate, which is destruction. The galaxies. There are galaxies other than your own that are held together by mutual gravitation. They reside in other universes. There are 19 universes and over 144,000 galaxies. Your planet Earth is the third galaxy of the 19th universe. Some galaxies are in their early stages and are thus considered more primitive than your planet Earth. Then there are galaxies that are further ahead in development than your galaxy, and there are some that have already reached judgment. The development or advancement of the galaxy depends on the sun. Your galaxy is on its way to destruction. You are doing things on this sphere that are affecting other spheres. If you are physically bound, you will not be able to escape the physical destruction. And that is why I stress that you concentrate on your spiritual growth. Your solar system. The solar system is the sun and the planetary bodies that revolve around it. The planet Earth is in only one solar system that sits in a galaxy which sits in a universe. Within this solar system is your Earth and 9 additional planets, making a total of 10 planets. This solar system is equivalent to a grain of sand on the beach. It is 30,000 light years from the center of the galaxy and located about midway between the upper and lower edges of the Milky Way. The Milky Way has many stars like your sun, which is a star, that are the center of different solar systems. There is a particular relationship that your solar system has with other solar systems throughout the universe. They all have celestial bodies that revolve around their own suns. This planet is moving in a galaxy that is moving, and if you observe, all of the molecules of the body are moving. The things you acknowledge by way of your senses vibrate. Your solar system follows a sacred tone, thus vibrating harmoniously with the cosmos. You too can learn the sacred tone, for when you attune your soul to the celestial, you will be able to reach the divine love you have sought for many years. The Aquarian Age. Now we are headed into a new era. Every 2000, it says 2075, 2000, but we know as every 24,000 years. Yeah? Another cycle comes in. We are moving from the era of water, the Aquarian Age, to the era of air, which utilizes laser beams, video, ultraviolet rays, etc. The Aquarian Age is composed of religions that dealt with the lesser mysteries, which are symbolized with water. The lesser mysteries are those esoteric teachings that have become religions. These religions started with a spiritual nature. The masters came with spiritual doctrines, and as time passed, the doctrines lessened and lessened until they became purely physical. This is why they are called the lesser mysteries. The era of air brings with a new awareness. You're beginning to realize that there is more to man than just the 5 senses, that you can have connections with beings outside of your planet. Man is finally acknowledging that when your Old Testament mentions the sons of the omnipotent coming down, that something took place, and the cities of Mu, Atlantis, Lemuria did not just disappear. You can now see the supreme beings do personify and bring revelation to those chosen to bring enlightenment to their people. With the many things that are happening before your eyes and within your grasp of understanding, you will know that man is elevating to a point where he's using his mind more than his body. And with this, he will eventually evolve into a mental being. You will begin talking about strict disciplines and the spirit, because you are seeking a higher spiritual world. The latent powers. The body is made up of and functions automatically by way of electrical impulses. Every move you make, whether unconsciously or consciously, is an outcome of thousands of electrical charged cellular ions simulating the end parts of dendrites of the millions of nerve cells found in the body. Within your nervous system, there are also occult nerves which are stimulated only under certain circumstances and are located in the spinal column and in the brain. The brain itself is a major organ of the body which is electrically charged. 2 examples of the power that the brain has is its ability to pick up different energy waves that are flowing free in the atmosphere, and it's channeling it to another brain, actually seeing, feeling, or knowing what the person is thinking or experiencing. This is the same principle behind a citizen's band unit, which although both receivers are miles apart, they can channel in and communicate through energy. This is the same way you can communicate from one side, mortal, to the other side, immortal. Man has to become aware of these latent powers within him and learn to channel these energies and elevate himself in spirit, transforming from a physical, earthbound being to one who is full of the pure light. He then can seek the source of divine love and return to it, a pure spirit. Since earthly beings are receptacles of flowing energy, the energy currents around in the environment inevitably affect you. The mind deals with every little thing the body receives, just like the sense of taste and smell. One is internal and the other is external. Yet, an external smell reacts upon the internal taste buds to cause assimilation. And when you look at our solar system, you see it mimics or looks like the atom itself, right? So you have a nucleus and you have protons and electrons, and if you look at a cell, you see that you have the nucleus, and you look at the solar system, you see the sun and you see the planets revolving around it too. We're almost done with the reading. Stay with me. Every mood you're in, whether it's anger, joy, or sadness, generates a certain flow or energy, which can, if permitted, expand and incorporate others in it. You must learn how to avoid being susceptible to bad outer forces and open to good forces. Thus, you establish harmony within yourself while teaching others to live in peace. There is another kind of energy that can be seen by those who are sensitive to the unseen things. This is called the aura or the halat. It appears 2 or 3 feet away from the body. The halat is looked upon as the atmosphere of the body because it reflects the real body, its mental mood, health, and character. The purer you are, the more it illuminates your halat will be, the more illuminated your halat or aura will be. Your aura has colors that reflect your moods. The aura can be a multitude of mixtures depending on the different moods you go through. So red projects or encourages desire and evil. Blue is a highly spiritual mood. Yellow reflects intellect or a total state of consciousness. Green is a most divine mood, which is reflected from the heavens of the mental plane. Black reflects supreme balance. White is the state of purity of mind and soul. Brown/grey are negative moods. You have the potential to evolve into beings of an all-spiritual nature, but you are rejecting it. You are catering to your physical needs and ignoring your spiritual needs. The soul inside you belongs to love. It only speaks in love. The body is the problem. You must step out of the body and become a spiritual being so that when the time comes, you will live on as other generations have done millions of years ago. The people of Atlantis were an empire practicing transforming themselves, for they saw that their environment was heading towards destruction. This is what you have to learn to do. You have already within you a latent power. It is waiting on you. You can mentally prepare yourself and decide to change the way you have been programmed in this society. What has happened to you is against your heavenly nature. With meditation, fasting, and self-discipline, you will be able to rule the body. The source of all life is divine love, for it is moving inside you. It is a healing force. As you keep a proper diet, a healthy body, you become a hospital within yourself. A mashfa, from the root word shafi, which means to cure, to heal off a disease or to make someone well or restore to health. And in the Sufi way of life, you seek to cure yourself and others by excelling in your mental powers. So you see, you are a heavenly being, and with the right guidance, you can become a god again. The medical symbol. The medical insignia of two serpents wrapping around a pole has a very interesting origin. Some call this symbol the Kundalini. Kund means to burn. Kunda means a coil or spiral. These words come from Sanskrit origin. In ancient times, the serpent was a symbol of the latent powers within a being. It shows that the third eye is open. These powers that mortals have not yet developed are also called by some as the Latifa or Chi. I tell you this, for it is important that you learn and have proper guidance in order to travel in this cosmos, in this cosmic energy, and not enter into doors you have never find your way out of. Before you even start to practice attuning yourself to the cosmos, it is a necessity to follow certain fundamentals that will lead you into a pure state achieved by healing forces, which can be directed by students of the mystics, the saliks or the mutasawwifa, plural for Sufi. These mental powers are raised from the chi, which are the 12 centers known in the Hindu faith as the 12 cobras of the mind. If you learn how to bring this energy up to the centers, it will reopen what is known as the third eye, or your inner eye. The masters of old had full use of their latent powers as well as other powers. For example, Master Jesus was a chemist. He studied medicine, math, and the sciences. He also told his followers, as I tell you, that they also had these powers. Another was Master Ezekiel, who told his followers of the celestial vehicles of which he knew about. He explained to them that through the utilization of their chakras, the seats of energy within them, they would be able to break the gravitational forces which now imprison you and keep you bound to the physical realm instead of releasing you into your pure state. See now much more, okay, 2 more pages. You must realize that there is more to mortals than just the 5 senses. I know that you have extrasensory perception or extra senses, which I have explained to be a channeling of electrical waves. As previously mentioned, mortals have found out recently about the astral body, the halat, and the connection with beings outside of this planet. Archaeologists just now concluded that the pyramids were not just built by men, for there is too much mathematics involved in their construction. They are realizing that there was a highly intelligent generation of people who had mental powers and were educated geniuses. This has been known for millions of years, but yet mortals are just discovering these facts. Remove yourself from the cares of this world, for a Sufi has no worries, and his sole concern is the omnipotent. Do you see that the simpler your life is, the more love you generate? For you have not concerned yourself with the physical commodities or the classification of society, which only breeds greed and selfishness. Divine love is waiting to be brought to the surface. It is moving inside you. It is brilliantly green, a light that is stirring and wanting to come out. You don't have to wait to be a good person. You are a good person inside. Take a look, be honest with yourself, and you will become aware of the beauty that lies inside. Look at your brothers and sisters and see the good in them. How can anybody be bad if they have a part of the Creator of the galactic heavens inside of them? Let love dwell within your being, and you will begin to love others. The key that will take you to other realms is now available to you. The seeker of a divine connection, the link that will strengthen your inner being. I speak the language of men so that you may understand the greater mysteries. The doors you are about to enter are the thresholds to the psychic that rekindle the spiritual self. As you journey with me, you will feel the spiritual energies that flow through you, thus revitalizing your physical vessel with new life. Many have already taken the first step towards the emanating light into the corridors of the ancient mysteries. Don't wait until the key is returned to its keeper. Remember what happened in the city of Mu. Reflect on the reality that what happened before will happen again. And if you're not prepared to deal with this reality, pass this on to another being, who in turn may be waiting for the opening of the cosmos. Fear not the darkness if you walk in the light. The sacred writings are ready to be rediscovered. Will you be of the chosen, or will you prefer to be like those who rejected the masters of old, denying the divine teachings, seeking only to gratify your physical needs? Do you want to remain as stones, too hard to receive divine love, conforming to your terrestrial bondage? You have a very prophetic descendancy. You have millions of years of knowledge of the mystical realm, as well as the scientific knowledge of at your fingertips. You are as the lotus flower whose petals are opening to the light. Remember, only the buds that are ready will blossom, and if you wait too long, you may be one of those that may never bloom. At this point, you are that Sufi who has traveled in the world seeking the truth in this very horizontal knowledge. Now, through the Sufi order of the Sons of the Green Light, whose mission is to bring you out of your physical chains, you have found the spot and are ready to blossom and make the vertical contact, the contact within the heavens. I will take you to the next step. I will take you to a marriage with the heavens so that you may develop those powers and move forward to the path of becoming a celestial being. And the last part, I am sent to you with a torch of light in this dark road of life. Stay close to me by the hand of the spiritual guide, Al-Qubt. I invite you to enter the gates of the universal order of love, like the masters of old who called upon the devotees. Enter the gates and discover your latent powers. Be of the celestial beings. All right, so that's the end of that reading. And to go back to the title of today's class, Ascending or Descending Beings. I see you, I'm going to come to you. Which one are you? Are you ascending or descending? And when you start to look at the pyramid, as above, there you can see here, as above, so below. Are you rising up or are you going down? So with that, I see you have your hand up. I'll open up for Q&A.
Greetings.
Greetings.
On that question you just posed there, ascending or descending, since I've been coming here, I'm not sure if I'm ascending or descending because sometimes I feel high and sometimes I feel like I'm reaching new lows, like almost like a breakdown.
So what's your question?
Am I ascending or descending or both?
That's a very interesting point. When you look at that, what you're looking at is a sine wave, like this, yeah, which is like the if you look at it like a mountain, and then you have a valley, and you have a mountain, and you have a valley, and it's a great question because a lot of people face this highs and lows, yeah, where you're feeling really great, and then you might be depressed, and you're feeling great and you're depressed. You can love the people around you, the world around you, and then other times you don't even want to be of it. So the idea is not to go up and down because that's erratic, yeah? You need to get to a point where you have balance, a straight line. So up or down doesn't make a difference. When you bring this to what people deal with every day, like let's say weather. Some people love it when it's sunny. They love the sun. Oh, beautiful. But the minute it rains, they curse the rain, right? Oh, goodness, why is it raining? But there are plants and nature that require the rain. So you can't just think about yourself. Like rain is also as good as the sun. So what you have to recognize is that whether it's raining or sunny, you are appreciating both sides. And we can move that to anything you can think of. Like that's why I said up and down, like ascending or descending. Everything in life vibrates, but the vibration can be erratic or it can be smooth. So when you're in a bad relationship, oh, you have disagreeable towards that person. And when you're in a good relationship, you're happy, but you should be appreciating both of them. So you learn from what you would consider bad because it's still an experience, and you also learn from the good. What people do is this has been done because of religions and the lesser mysteries, where they give you this, you got to be good all the time in religion, but you can't be good all the time because there will be times where you might have a what you call a bad or disagreeable day. So it's being able to be in a situation where no matter what, you are still balanced. You know, the person that is able to see the positive and the negative, or the agreeable and the disagreeable in people, and still be balanced. That's where you're aiming to be. So the ups and downs and the lows and highs are due to the extremes. Nobody should be at any extreme. You can't like wear your pants or your trousers too baggy because they're falling off. And you can't wear them too tight either because your body doesn't breathe, and you know. So wu-sabat is all about you having that balance. And that's what we're talking about. So in order for you to get to that point where you're not feeling highs and lows, you have to learn how to balance everything. And that's your mind as well. Like, you know, you have people who, if you look at the environment, so you go to someone's house or their work desk or whatever, it reflects their mental state. So you see when people are chaotic, their environment's going to be chaotic because you build and you create the environment around you by way of your manifestation. So this is why Kanye West got in trouble when he said slavery is a choice. And people came at him. What if I was him, what I would have added or said is today slavery is a choice, not back then. Because if you are in a day and time where you have all this knowledge and everything you need to make yourself successful in every way you can think of, but you choose to remain bonded, like in a relationship, in a job, or anything that is telling you like you've got to be here 9 to 5, even if you hate it, you just go there because you're there for, say, the money. You see, so you have a choice. No one really in today's day and time, with the master teacher coming with wu-sabat and everything you need to be enslaved. If you're enslaved, you're enslaving yourself today. Back then, you didn't have a choice because they will come, grab you, chain you up, and you know, yeah. So, does that answer your question? Would you need to contemplate and think about it?
Well, intellectually it does, but when I go home, it might be a different matter because
Please use the mic because we want people online to hear you. That's where we're saying you have to now put the work in to deal with the other aspects of your life that are still going fluctuating in an erratic way. So if you pick a situation in your life, like you say when you go home, can you give an example? Like, because then we can look at what you do for that particular example.
well, up until now, I've been doing Tai Chi and yoga and weights and breathing exercises to try and calm down my spirit. Because, like most black people, we live in an environment which is not so positive towards us
Right.
because of people's lack of spirituality, perhaps. But yes, so I think my issue is that I need some other tools
Right.
to because what has served me up until now doesn't seem to be enough. Or maybe I need to fine tune it or get some other practical information how to deal with living in with Europeans. Especially what bothers me is that I live in a social and cultural environment which denies the experience my ancestors had, which is difficult to take. I understand it somehow intellectually, but emotionally I find it very difficult.
Okay, let me give you the answer. So this is why we have to have our own community, because you're trying to be a gazelle out of the forest, like a fish out of water. You're not living your culture that you were grown into. Like, it's natural to us to live in communities, to live in an environment where we live and do things that are conducive to our well-being. And in ancient times, like in Tamaray, or what people refer to as Egypt, that's what we did. We had a culture and we were basically practicing our way of life. And even today, in 2002, before the master was incarcerated, we had our own land with 476 acres and growing, where we were able to live our culture of wu-sabat. And it was peaceful, it was like heaven on earth. And we spoke our own language. We had everything, the children could run around, play in a peaceful environment. And of course, with the master's incarceration, they stole our land, and now we're dispersed all over the world. But even before then, like, the Africans in the diaspora are beings that grow up in a place. Some of them don't even know their culture or where they come from, going back to what people call Africa. They show you movies like Roots and, with, what's the character, Kinta Kunte, where they stripped you off of your language, your name, everything. And today, people are living in a Western world with other people's culture, well, not really culture, but more of their ways, which are not really conducive for us. So this is why we're introducing wu-sabat to the world, to people that want to live in an environment in a way that is going to be harmonious to their being. And then you have to do the work by reading the scrolls to learn about these different things that you mentioned: meditation, relaxation, the language which deals with the tones and the vibration and the frequencies. So the information is here, but you have to then read it, study it, and apply it in your daily lives, working with other people who are already doing so. So you're not alone, because it can be lonely just being by yourself. And like you say, trying to live in a way that goes against your natural way. So we originally used to write from right to left, but they make you write the other way around. Everything is back to front. Like your brain, the way you're designed, you have a left brain and a right brain, you have a logical and a creative, but everything in this society is back to front. So you have to learn how to reverse engineer everything that has been, put on you wrongly. So You know, you have to go back, as they say, dyslexia. Like, do everything back to front, which is hard because you've been programmed from an early age to do it the other way around. You see, so this is where we come in, and the work you have to do is think about God as God. You reverse it, you say dog, but you don't see that. The subliminal messages are kind of like embedded in your everyday life. People say, oh my God, Lord God, Jesus. Like, you're saying these tones without, it's just like natural to you. But what you're doing is you're invoking and calling these entities that don't really mean you well. But you say that to people that have been indoctrinated all their life. It's like trying to remove just that, just one word. Stop saying that word. Stop saying good morning. Why are you mourning? And the word good doesn't mean good because it comes from German, from the word gut, referring to a particular being. So you're giving energies to a disagreeable being. And that might sound strange to people because all your life you get up and you say good morning. But like, good is the same word as God, because you just take of 1 0 and it's still the same word. So there is programming not just on your senses, but it's subliminal as well. So you're doing and saying things without realizing you're doing it. Have a good week. Why do you want to be weak? You want to be strong. You see, hello. Why are you saying hell is low or a low vibration? So these are things that have been embedded in your life from the nursery rhymes that you're taught in school. You don't realize you're being programmed. Mary had what? A little lamb, and its fleece was white as snow. You don't think anything of it. But what's a fleece? The color of its skin. Mary was who? The mother of Jesus. So if she's white, the fleece is the skin, her child's going to be white. You see? And if the mother's white and the child's white, the dad's got to be white. So this is how you're already programmed to think, okay, why is that important? White is associated with purity, with being a virgin, getting married in a white dress and all that. It's all pure. The opposite to good is going to be bad. So the opposite to white is black. You see, this is how the programming is done, but it goes on and on to the way you're treated because of your dark skin or your color. Racism and colorism comes in all societies. But then they tell you that God was in darkness before he created the light. So God dwells in darkness, which is a peaceful state. Because when you want to go to sleep, you turn off the lights. When you want rest and want to be in a pure, pristine, calm environment, you turn off all the lights and you go into darkness. So I'm showing you how simple it is for you to be programmed in a way that goes against you in every shape or form. And when you start to reverse that, they say, oh, you're being racist. But it was okay when I was the one being subjected to the lies and made to feel inferior. But now I'm saying, well, actually, no, you become the racist, as if it's something bad. To be racist is not necessarily a bad thing. It means you prefer your own race. Everybody prefers their own race. If I prefer to play the guitar to the piano, I'm a guitarist. You see, not a violinist. That me. Yeah, so we're debunking and giving back the rightful knowledge because it's time now. It's time for beings to wake up. Doesn't matter who you are, what color, what race you are. I'm just using those examples, but it's about your spiritual being now. It's about you connecting with the real you. But to learn that knowledge of who you really are, this is why the master is here. Because he is a master of both the spiritual world and the physical world, or the unseen world and the seen world. And the things that are going to take you to those higher levels are the things that people can't explain, or that, in religion, they haven't got the answers for it. And that's what wu-sabat say to do. Any other questions from anyone? Online as well, Clubhouse or Zoom or in the class?
First of all, what scroll was you reading from? Sorry.
Yeah, good question. It's a scroll called Celestial Being or Terrestrial Being from the Master Teacher, which was written many, many years ago.
Tour. The second question is, in terms of the psychic defense, are you able to explain that with the analogy of war? In terms of like, soldiers don't just go to war guns blazing. They prepare beforehand. They discuss how their game plan's going to be.
Strategy, yeah.
They strategize, and then they go. And then even when they're there, they're making sure their weapons work before they get there. In psychic defense, how would that analogy go in terms of what we do before we get to a situation that we have to defend ourselves in?
Great question. This goes back to the doctrines of the most knowledgeable being that has ever walked the planet, known as Tahuti. He's known by a different name, Thoth, Hermes, and that is the being that our master teacher is and has reincarnated today. The reason I point you to those doctrines is that there's a doctrine called the mental. Yeah, your mind is the gateway to the higher realms and to the lower realms. So if you look at it, it's like on the fourth plane. So everything is mental. Now, before you go into a situation, or even when you're in a situation, it's your mind that will govern how you react or what you do in any situation. Because someone can do something and your mind will go knock him out or knock her out, or do you know what I mean? Like, and then you will catch yourself and your mind will then be like, Ashok, let me bring the Ashok into this situation. And depending on how the situation plays out, you may end up knocking them out, or you may end up using your mind to diffuse the situation. So it's all about your mind and how you handle things, because you're provoked very easily by triggers that are set up. So if someone knows or has the knowledge, your mind is the most powerful thing you have. They even show you this in like in the movies, like what's the movie with all the different superheroes, Magneto and X-Men. Thank you. Right. Who's the most powerful? Why?
It's a woman.
He uses his mind. Yeah. People think if you have a knife or a gun or a weapon, like if you came to attack me, but I was able to mentally change your mind and go put the gun down, and you did it, who's more powerful? You see, so your mind is very powerful. And I've done this in many situations where telepathically you can change somebody's mind. So they've come in to do you something and you've changed their mind and they're like, what did I come to do here? It's very powerful, So the mind is the key. You have to train your mind to be able to deal with any situation that you're in. Like you could be walking down the road as a young black person, male for that, and the police pull you over. And you can be all high rate, why you put me over? And that will aggravate them, and they can then deal with you in a certain way than if you were to deal with them using your mind. You follow me? So it's all about your mind. Like you can approach any situation, and you see this with people where they come into conflicts or whatever, and it's like the people that just lose it, they just angry, aggressive, and I'm not saying there isn't a time for that, but a lot of the times you don't even need to do that. You be in a room of people, let's say a meeting or whatever, and there will be people talking and everyone trying to get their points across or trying to get the attention, and there's one person that's just quiet, doesn't say anything, doesn't, just waits and listens, and you know what happens? The minute that person speaks, everybody else shuts up and listen, because they're being quiet doesn't mean like, you're taking kindness for weakness, or you're taking the fact that they're not behaving in the way that everyone else is. And that's what it is. You have to harness that energy, that power, So when you speak, it has more weight, it has command. But if you're always talking, then people get used to you talking. And then the person that doesn't talk is like when they talk, everybody wants to hear what they've got to say. So it's all about mentally controlling the situation. But it does take training. It's not easy. If you read the book, we have a book actually specifically called The Mind, because the master realized that, and when you do read the book, if you haven't done so, that's really a book you should read, because it explains and puts you in situations where you're challenged, like, not to give away too much, but in the mind you find out that the student whose master was unalived, he began his journey vowing to find the person that did that. And he went through all kinds of stuff. And then he eventually, and this took years and years and years of trying to find the person that unalived his master. And when he found him, the person spat in his face. And the master in the scroll poses the question, if that student takes revenge on him now, based on him spitting on him, the whole journey and all the stuff he went through is no longer valid now, because you're not doing it now for that. You're now doing it because he spat in your face. So he's like, what would you do in that situation? And this is a challenge where you ask somebody like, if somebody spat in your face, what would you do? Anyone? Be honest as well.
Well, my normal reaction would be to smack him.
Right.
But if I was on a spiritual journey, I might guess that it's a spiritual test, because even in the Bible, Moses was put through lots of difficult challenges. Let's call them challenges as opposed to tests. So, right, left, and center. He couldn't take 2 steps without he only turned his back once, to go up a mountain and whatever. And the people were playing away. They were going back to the old style.
Right. So you're saying you would smack them in the face or whatever?
Well, that would be my reaction. But if I was on a spiritual quest...
Right. So this is where we're saying that the mind kicks in. That if your mind doesn't kick in, you're going to go with your first reaction, which is not control. It's going to be you've lost control. So you have to stop. And most people say, if someone's spitting in my face, I'm spitting back, or I'm going to hit them, or I'm going to... It takes more power and strength to stop and walk away. But people it's easy for people to do what we consider negative things. Like, and anyone who's doing whatever negative things we can think of, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever you're doing, it's easy to do that. Anybody can do that. Being someone that's greedy, overeating. But now you say to that same person, stop smoking. Oh, I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll do it tomorrow. There's always an excuse, right? Because it's easier to justify not doing it. And that's the same, I can apply that to alcohol or whatever. So you then have a battle within yourself as to, okay, I want to be a spiritual being and elevate and do the things and be successful and all the things that lean to the agreeable side. Well, you have to eradicate the stuff that you're doing that's keeping you on the other side. And that's where the challenge comes in, because people read the books, they love the information, but now the discipline to stop and eradicate those things, going back to the question you asked, Matt, you're going to war, but to prepare, you got to do the exercise, isn't it? Even when you looked at the Rocky movie, he's going to fight. He's knocking out opponents, but he wants to be the world champion. So you have to train, you have to prepare mentally, spiritually, in every way you need to be able to win the war. So our people will complain all day long. We don't have this, we don't have that, we don't, and then you say, okay, you need to prepare. We need to get ready to be able to win this war. Mentally, physically, spiritually, are you willing to do that? In my experience, a lot of people just talk and they just gas, especially the men. The women are more ready to do things than the men sometimes, because women, they think about the future. They think about their offspring, the children. Like the men are supposed to provide that. But if the men are not doing that, then it's kind of hard for them to do it by themselves. So society makes sure that they put so much stress on the woman because most of the time it's one parent families because they break up the unit of you, male and female, working together with divine left and right brain working together. Because that's what happens in most societies. Like if you look at the Asian or look at other races, the woman is very active and very involved in, you know what I mean, what they're doing as a community. And in our culture, they spend so much time and concentration on the woman, have her so distracted that, like we were reading, they focus more on my nails, my lashes, my hair, now it's getting ridiculous. I'm not just putting this on the women, the men too, as I said, because the men will talk and talk and talk until you say, all right, you ready to build? Are you ready to work, to build this community, to have something for the family and for the children? And then all the excuses come out. They're not, at the minute you start talking about the effort and the work that's required, they're not Africans anymore, they're Afrikaans. They can't do it.
Nice one.
Sometimes you have to laugh about these situations because it's so serious that it can be frustrating because we want to have this community, we want to have everything. Do for self. That's what every leader says, do for self. Don't expect anyone to come and do it for you, especially those that want to keep you down. So how do you send your children to be educated by them and expect they're going to teach them not to work for them? So it's like we just perpetuate this cycle of just gassing and talking. But in wu-sabat, the master teacher showed us what's possible because we built 3 separate communities. And, you know, people talk about Black Wall Street and all of these other things that were in the past. Ancient Egypt, we were so great. You hear people talk, they read a million books, how great we were. Moses, Jesus, and all these characters that are dead, they're not here right now. Marcus Garvey, everyone, they will talk all day long about what they had as an idea or an ideology. But like actually doing it, building it, how are you going to do that if you don't come together and work together? You see, so this is what wu-sabat is about. We're here, the real men, Nuwapi men, we have meetings every month for people that want to build, to come along. And we see people come and go, you know, like I said, you can have a project, an initiative like we have with the 100 project and certain things that we're talking about. Right now we need freedom. Now we need to have our own communities. What do you think that's going to take?
Money.
There you go. So if we don't come together and put our money together to build, how is it going to get done? You don't just need money, because that's another thing. People think, I throw my money in, oh, I've done my part. No, you need to bring your skills and your knowledge and your experience as well. Because you can have £1 million, but if you don't know what you're doing with it, you're just going to blow it. So it's not just the money, because we're very rich. We spend so much money on hair and cosmetics and, you know, junk food and trainers, shoes, crap. Yeah? But when it comes to like, okay, let's put that money together and build. Where's the schools? Where's our healing centers? Where's our banks? Where is our restaurants? Do you know what I mean? So that we can eat the healthy food we want to eat. So that we can do things like, you know, I'm one of those people that when I get into it, so some people don't want to hear that because, you know, when you start talking about money, people go to sleep. But everyone talks about you do need money, you know, and to build a community, you definitely need that. And the master teacher needs to be free because he has the way, he knows the way. He's built free communities right in front of our faces. People will be like, when we had Tamaray, think about it. A God is able to go to a place, one of the most racist places on the planet, Deep South, and resurrect an Egyptian city in front of their face. And they're like, how did this happen? So it's the ability to, this is what we call alchemy, like to do something in a situation where you think it's literally impossible to do. And that's your God in you to be like, Let's go to a desert and build a city. Dubai. They went to a desert and restructured it and built a flourishing city with Arab money. And now the tables are turning because nature's on our side, because the planet has shifted where a lot of the resources like the oil and everything that used to be in Asia is now moving to Africa. And the sun is here now. It's reactivating being. So we have everything we need apart from the love and the unity that we need. That's our problem, coming together. Every leader that has come before has said the exact same thing. Use the mic. The exact same thing. Our power is in our unity. But we like to be divided. When you see someone being successful, instead of supporting them, we have this crab mentality of pulling them down, you know, which is, it's just terrible. We've got to change that mindset. Go ahead, Zama.
Even though Dr. Malachi's body is in prison, is he still working, how do you say, together with his spiritual guides?
Absolutely. This is what I said earlier on about the ability to do things in the most impossible situations. That's what makes you God or goddess, because they really thought that if they incarcerate him or take him away, like this is the strategy they've used with all the leaders before.
Yes.
Take away the head and they think the body's going to fall. But what they didn't realize is that his main job is to write, to share and give us this knowledge and information. So even though they had him incarcerated, he was put in the perfect place without any distractions, but to write all day, because his pen is his miracle. So he wrote more books since he's been incarcerated than when he was not incarcerated. And I'm not saying that for any moment to say we want to keep him in there because we want him out and he's coming out. But what I'm saying is that even within the confines of the physical body in a cell, the being known as Yanun is not trapped in any way, shape or form, because that being uses his mental to the point where the mental is so powerful that he's still able to reach anyone on the planet with just the pen. So in ancient times, you talk about the sword, right? People think about a sword. When you think about the sword, because even like, in the Jesus story, when he was afraid that they were coming for him, his disciples, he told them to go and buy swords, right? But there's certain stories in the Bible that are symbolic or allegorical. The sword, if you really spell it, is S word, secret or sacred word. So the sword is your tongue, the double-edged tongue. So you can speak into existence power. That's the double-edged sword that you're talking about. The ability to have the language to be able to speak in different languages, which in the religious world, that's your Arabic, because of the Quran, and the Hebrew for the Old Testament. So he was able to bring everyone together, and even though he was taking us through the school of religion, the symbol he put out for our organization at the time was the six-pointed star with a crescent, but he had the ankh in the middle, the ankh, yeah? And that was able to keep the religious people away, but at the same time bring the right people together. So when people that were in Islam, they saw the crescent, it attracted them. But they're like, but why has it got a six-pointed star, not a five-pointed star? Because if you go and look at the religious groups, whether it's the Nation of Islam or most, they have a five-pointed star with a crescent. But he had a six-pointed star, which to someone who was coming from Judaism or the Jewish background, they would look at a six-pointed star and they're like, that's us. Like if you look at Israel now today, you see they have a six-pointed star. But then you had the Ankh in the middle, which was Kemet dealing with ancient Egypt. So even when we were going through the schools of religion, he was intravenously feeding us our culture of wu-sabat. taking us back to ancient Egypt, and pre-dynastic at that. So he was able to basically unite us up until the point where we grew religion, and we wanted to know more about who we are. You know, that's when wu-sabat was actually fully practiced or come into practice in the year 2000, because he knew that by the year 2000, the 6,000 years of the devil's cycle will be up. So they wouldn't have as much influence or power over the people, you see. So he started giving us wu-sabat. 2 years later, we, our own people, are the ones that put him where he is by going to these officials and wanting to escape and not deal with their own stuff, you see, because they wanted the outside world. They wanted to live like the devil. They wanted to do all the things of the world, because they were
Back to Egypt.
they were in an enclosed garden being taught and given their culture, but some influences came in and like, oh, let's go and make music like Little Kim. Sorry, who's that? Someone's mic's open. Did you want to ask a question? Okay, it's gone off. Yeah, so I forgot what the last question was. Who? Yeah, I was saying, yeah, Little Kim and the rap world and all that influence with P. Diddy and all these guys, that's the world that people wanted to go and live. And look what's happened to that world right now. It's crumbling. So they literally sold out what we had, what they had, where they were brought up, to go and follow the wrong or 60 for forces. Go ahead, Zamata.
I know we talked about psychic defense before, but you see, we're not all perfect, and sometimes in a situation you may lose control. How do you regain control that's lost? Because I feel like it's very easy to kind of just keep digging the hole you've dug for yourself.
Yeah, and that's one of the that's what the devil does, to make you feel like I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, because the justification of, oh, I've messed up, I might as well carry on. Do you know what I mean? That stops you. Whereas a child that falls down gets up. You make a mistake, you get up. You know what I mean? You don't remain and like dwell in that negativity of, oh, I've messed up. You know, because once you do that, it just spirals downwards. That's what I'm talking about, ascending and descending. You can fall, but you can get up. And as long as you keep getting up and saying, I know I messed up, but I'm going to try. Because what you're doing really is suppressing the personalities within your being. You know, we talk about you have your 29 or less ancestors. They are the ones, like when you're hearing the voices in your head, or when you're faced with a challenge where you say you get angry. After a while, you have to learn how to control that anger. But if you keep letting it overcome you, that ancestor within you that is getting angry, they're raising up and becoming the person in the driver's seat. So you have to be like, use methods and things that will make you realize, when I'm in this situation, I'm triggered. When this person or that thing is doing this to me, I react in this way. You label that being one of your personalities, like red, because red is negative, or, do you know what I mean? So that when you're put in that situation again, you use your mind. When you're saying psychic deals with the mind, isn't it? Like, you use your mind to go, okay, I recognize that. I fell before. You got me the last time, but this time I'm not giving in to eating that cake. Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, someone comes, let's go out to a party. You must have experienced this, or take you somewhere, you go and your intuition tells you don't go, and you override it and you still go. Then you go into a situation and then you're like, I knew I shouldn't have gone. Then it happens again and you go again and you're like, I've done it again. The last time I said I wasn't going to go. Eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, when that person calls you, you just block their number, or you don't go. You just say like, I'm not going, because sometimes you have to go through the experience. Experience is normally one of the best teachers, because how much more do you want to be like in a situation where you feel awful? Like you lower yourself, your divinity, to the point where like Even people that drink or smoke or have any vices, whether it's they're sexual, addicts or whatever, or that you do it to the point where you keep saying to yourself, "Man, I gotta give up." But you keep doing it until one day you're gonna get so like tired and sick of it that you're gonna be like, you know what? If I really do wanna elevate, I've got to give this up, and that's what we call burning your desires. Just like you can't say you want to go up, ascending, but then you keep doing things that are pulling you down. So the class, again, just to reset the room of ascending or descending beings, is like you literally have to change. If you don't change, then you're going to just keep going in the same cycle. So you have to get to that point where you say, you know what, I am really ready to take this journey and to clean up myself inside out. You're not going to be perfect, as you say, because you're going to make mistakes, but it's you have to just keep going, and then eventually you see the improvement. Rahul Bazama.
How you doing?
Tua, doing my best. Go ahead.
Just regarding Zamatat's question, there are 3 books that she can refer to. It's called the Breath Book, and there's an actual practice in there that she can actually apply, and also concentration and relaxation. So
Tua.
in the Breath Book, it's called Controlling the Emotions on page 97, verse 76.
Okay. Wow. Did you get that? Yeah, so the 3 books to help you is concentration, relaxation, and the breath book. Yeah, that's a good practical way, because sometimes, you have to put it into actual practice. Go ahead, Kobe. Rahubat.
So, just 2 things based on what we've been speaking about. I had an experience not too long ago. Basically, a vice that I've been dealing with for a long time. I've started burning out. And I was waking up from a dream. And I felt, as I'm waking up, I felt an entity. I don't know whether it's something that's within me or outside of me. But it was talking about destroying my day, basically. Right? Now, because I'm in wu-sabat, I've got 9 mind, I knew what to do as soon as I got up. And then I went on with my day, and I was good throughout the day. But where I don't know what that is, I'm still trying to identify these things. Is there anything I can do on a preventative measure to prevent these things from potentially trying to attack?
Yeah. To be honest, if you put into practice the things in wu-sabat, like the chants, do you chant at 9 a.m.?
Yeah, I think my problem is I'm not doing it before I go to sleep.
Right. I'm just saying
9
that
a.m. I do.
when you're focused on wu-sabat, like for example, the chant, learning the language, studying the scrolls, sharing what you know with them, you really have no time, to be, like what I'm basically saying, your psychic defense comes from doing the things we need to be doing. It's when you're not applying those things, that's when they slip in, between the lows and the highs that we were talking about. So I would say that if you're doing the things we're supposed to do, you're more, it's like the personalities within you. You've got agreeable and disagreeable. And what's happening is the disagreeable, they want to live their life through you and experience certain things through you. So the vice you might think is you, but it's not you. It's one of those voices, one of those ancestors that want to experience that. But you will hear the voices in your head. They will persuade you like, it's all right, just only one, just have one. And before you know it, that one turns into a repetition, and you're creating grooves in your brain, because what's happening is that thoughts create like their pathways, because the way the communication works is you've got different neurons, and they communicate by the synapses. And the more you do the same thing over and over again, it creates that groove, which becomes eventually a habit, and then it becomes habitual, and now you have to fight that addiction because it can get to become an addiction. So it's about being able to recognize those thoughts and be like, override it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard, but the more you do it, the more you practice, it's like eventually it becomes, you've reprogrammed yourself to do the opposite. So, for example, if you wake up and the first thing you do, generally, a lot of people do this, they wake up, first thing they do is they pick up their devices. That's not good because the device is sending energy to you by way of light through the device. So it might be, oh, let me check my email, or let me check TikTok, or let me check Facebook, or do you know what I mean? And it's like that energy alone can just throw your whole day off, yeah? Because you might get into some gossip, or like some sexual image or something will pop up. Before you know it, your entire day has shifted. Whereas if you get into the habit of, okay, I'm not going to pick up my phone, I'm going to meditate first, I'm going to chant first, I'm going to get myself prepared for the world that I'm about to go into, then you've already, it's like, if you get up early and go for a run, or go, do some exercise and do your meditation and everything, by the time 9 o'clock, let's say you have to be at work for 9 o'clock, but you've done all that stuff before, you're prepared for the rest of the day, you see. So it's discipline. Discipline, the word discipline is disciple. That's where it comes from. A disciple is a student. That's what the word means. So you have to discipline yourself to override or overcome the challenges that you're getting pulled in different directions from. So yeah, you have to literally just try and implement, okay, what do you eat during the day? Who do you go and interact with? Do you get to read any scrolls during the day? If you're focusing on those things, you see that it will definitely stop you or help you from, being sidetracked. Yeah.
Just a small addition to that before I move on to the next question. But I always find, in the past I found that when you're sort of trying to come off one vice, another one takes over. And I guess for me now, where I'm at in my spiritual growth, if you want to put it that way, it's doing without all of these things. And I feel like it's my mood now that's affected. Yeah. So moving on to the next question.
Let me just touch on that point. You're right. What people do is they're like, I give up smoking, so I start to drink more. It's like, it doesn't work because all you're doing is replacing one with the other. So you're right that you got to be mindful as well that you're not doing that, because it's like, what's the point of giving up one to take up another one? It's like, it doesn't really make sense. So you've got to monitor and be like, yeah, I'm going to try and stay away from all of them. Do you know what I mean? Go over with the second question.
So you were saying earlier about, you gave that example that was in the Mind book about someone spitting in your face. Now, not to say anyone spat in my face, but I've been through a situation where, I don't know, maybe I've been disrespected, but I've kind of just taken the disrespect and walked off. My issue is what builds up inside me. It's like, I don't know if it's an extra level of resentment, and I feel like that kind of affects my mood. That, or for example, that particular example I'm talking about, it eventually it's done a 360 on itself. Yeah. And it's shown that actually I did the right thing in the long run.
Right.
By not reacting to the disrespect.
Yeah, this is where the thing that you're really here to study and master and learn is energy. Yeah. Energy, everything we do involves energy in one form or another. But you have to learn how to, like we say, alchemize or channel that energy. So instead of being angry and going and doing something negative, what about, okay, I'm going to do 100 press-ups instead. You know what I mean? And as simple as that may sound, it's like you doing the press-ups is going to channel that energy into something else. and you're going to benefit from it because you're going to be probably stronger now because you're training. So it's knowing how to transform energy. This is in the world. People say, if somebody sends me or does anything negative to me, I will send it back to them. That's not what you should be doing. In wu-sabat, we're able to take that energy, transform it, and send it back out in a good way. So you don't go return to sender. You're like, okay, you sent me that negative thought, whatever, like to harm me or whatever. People talk about voodoo or like, oh yeah, someone's gonna do that to you. But if you know that and you send them love, this is what we were saying about the mental capacity to change somebody else's mind. You're helping them, even though they're trying to harm you. And then they don't know or realize that, wow, like you're protected, you're progressing. It's like the more people try to come at you with negativity, it's them that ends up seeing your rise even more, you see, because you're not retaliating and giving them back the same negative energy that they're giving you. So you then get more. So people like say, the more you give, the more you get. For some people, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it, people that give, they will get more because you're doing. If you're getting lots of money and you're using that money to help people, you're gonna get more. You follow me? But if you're getting the money and you're just like me, myself, and I just want to be me, greedy, and all of that, then you're not gonna keep it. You're not gonna get hold. You're not gonna be able to progress because it's selfish. It's all about you, and the way to leave here and not come back is to do something for humanity. You know, like when you serve humanity, it gives you more grace in terms of you leaving here and not having to come back and repeat the cycles. You see, so these things, like, you might call them paradoxes, but you can say to somebody, the more you give, the more you get, and they think you're crazy. You can say, forgive people, do you know what I mean? Don't be hateful. Although that energy it's not going to help you. But at the same time, there is balance in wu-sabat. So we're not saying be a walkover and people to just take advantage of you, because there will be times where you need to protect yourself and defend yourself. Only when you are attacked, or you know what I mean? Like you're not the aggressor, in other words. So to bring that to today, the master used to say to us, when we would be going out and teaching the truth, and we would get attacked verbally and all of that from people. This is where in religion they say the trials and tribulations, like you have to go through these things, but he used to say, stay away from them because you're defeating them mentally. And when you defeat someone mentally, their first reaction is to attack you physically. But he said, just stay away, nature's going to take care of them. You know what I mean? Like, people say they're going to go and blow up a building to fight for, say, Allah. Like, but then at the same time, you're saying Allah is the most powerful, is Allahu Akbar, which means the greatest. So why do you need to go and do his battle for him? And so what they're doing is they don't realize that, you know, like, that's not what jihad is about. Jihad is about the struggle between you within your being to overcome the disagreeable you know. So yeah, you can't be the aggressor. Natural nature will take care of that for you. And the master used to tell us that, and people are like, but they've got bombs and they've got this and they've got that, because people always say that if we build our own community, they're going to come. But we have our ancestors and the Natharu, and they are nature beings. And that's why nature is the most powerful force. And we are children of nature, children of the sun. The sun is more powerful than any atomic bomb that they could ever have. And we are seeing it happening now, where nature is taking care of things. All the fires and all the things that are happening, the tornadoes, the earthquakes, the stuff that's going on, is to eradicate the six ether forces and the negative beings that are causing havoc on the planet. But for you to be caught up in that, it's because you're also practicing, or you're putting yourself in harm's way. So you just got to remove yourself and let nature take care of it and deal with what it has to deal with. And it's happening now. That's why even in the Bible they said to you that the world will no longer be destroyed. There was a covenant that was made to say the world will no longer be destroyed by water. Because in the Bible, it's usually the floods, right? The floods and gets rid of everyone and start all over again. The fire that they're talking about is the sun. And it tells you in Malachi 4:2 that the Son of Righteousness is going to come. The books of Malachi is the last book in the Old Testament. In the books of Revelation, the last book of the New Testament, it tells you Michael or Michael is going to come and bring, justice or like renew the world. That's what's happening now in the personage of the master teacher. So we just got to unite. He says, don't worry about them. They're self-destructing anyway. The beings that are causing chaos on the planet. They deal with wars and all of that. And that's what they're doing. They're fighting each other and just killing each other off. You just got to focus on developing your being, working with like-minded beings, and building a world that is conducive for those people that want to live in that peace and harmony. That's what wu-sabat's about. Let me see some. You got another question?
No, I was just going to say I should tell time.
Did you have a question? All right. After that, I'm going to take the questions in the chat. We've got loads of questions in the chat.
Just to add to the brother's first question,
Tua.
I was poisoned and I had some issues where I ate other food that was given to me, and after eating these foods, I started to have these kind of thoughts that you were saying, where it was like my thoughts were out of control. Especially this experience happened to me actually when I was in prison, where it was a totally different controlled environment where they would turn the TV on and my brain would hurt, right? So I would have these random weird thoughts like cursing and all these kind of things that I know to not be mine. And I would instantly start saying the Psalms. And actually in prison I did that. I memorized about 7 Psalms or so, and I would start to say it. And as soon as I did start to say it, it would subside. The things in me I would feel going down. I would actually start farting sometimes from the food that they were giving me. So it's like there's something alive inside the food, and I start saying the Psalms, and I start.
Is there a question on the back of that, or you just wanted to?
The question now is, you were saying that it could be his ancestors.
You touched on a very important aspect, which is the food that you eat, okay? Because you hear the term, you are what you eat. When you go deep into that, if you're eating animals or flesh, a lot of the time the trauma that the animal experienced, when you eat it, it goes into you as well. So you will have dreams, and you can be affected by that animal, you see. So what you eat is very important, and today we're eating a lot of unnatural foods, and that will have a vibration that vibration is within you. So diet and what we eat is so important. So that relates to that. So like, because you have to understand your nature, you have a godly nature for simplicity, and you have a devil's nature within you. What you're doing when you're doing certain things is feeding the reptilian nature within you, the aggressive side of you. This is why like red meat or bloody red meat is not good for you, because it increases that aggression, yeah? When you eat a lot of dairy products, that's not good for you either, because it clogs up your system, builds a lot of mucus, and this is energy as well. You have to always think of food and things you put in as energy. So if you're weighing down with negative energy, or you're going to become more acidic, and that's going to affect your behavior. But if you are more electric, or eating, more alkaline foods, then you're going to be more calm, and your being is going to be in a different state. So these all have, parts of the impact that it has on you as a being, but it goes beyond that. It's the lights that you're subjected to, the fabrics that you're wearing, because as Nagaru, we are electromagnetic semiconductors. We pick up energies from everywhere, but you have to attune yourself to reject the negative. That's what we're talking about with the psychic self-defense, because you're constantly picking thoughts. You're picking up waves from different people. And when you learn, you you hear people that say they're an empath. Like you can be around people and you just feel their energy, their vibration, and it can have an impact on you. So you got to learn how to have that psychic self-defense, but at the same time, heal them as well. Because if you're going to keep being around them, you have to try and heal them, or else they're going to keep affecting you. So that's why we have to learn, and it could just be your voice, your tone, like your presence can help heal someone. You know, so this is what, when I read about ascending and descending beings, you have to be able to rise to the point where you are the supreme being. That's why the master's voice alone, the 3 tones in one, when you hear his voice, is very calming, and it will just change your mood. And you know, we also have that capability, but you have to develop that. You know, that's why you can be around certain people and you just feel great, good energy, and then you go to the other people and just like, they just suck in your energy from you because they are not producing it, so they have to cipher it from somewhere else. Yeah, so I'm going to answer the questions in the chat because they're building up, and we have...
I'm sorry, I just had a question to actually add to that.
Go ahead.
It was regarding you saying that when you were saying that these thoughts were building up, that it could be ancestors.
Yes,
And
that's, I'm saying that you're basically composed in terms of your physical body, the DNA of all the generations, 4 generations going backwards to make you who you are today. And that's your parents, their parents, which you call your grandparents, their parents, your grandparents, and their parents, their great-grandparents. All of those beings, mother and father, they all make up who you are today. Some of them were disagreeable because they didn't know any better, or they did disagreeable things. And they're trapped on another realm, but they're still connected to you. And then you have the agreeable ones that made it, and they're now trying to help you to make it. So when you're hearing the voices in your head of what to do, what not to do, apart from the programming, the external programming that the society is also using to come at you with all these things, like I was saying, with social media or the environment you're in or the people you interact with, those beings within you have a more effect on you because they're your bloodline. So some of them want to see you fail because they failed. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, if they were not able to have a good relationship with their partner, they don't want you to have one. So they will whisper things in your ear. So you could be with your partner and everything is fine, everything is great. And in a split second, you look at that person like an enemy, and now you guys are fighting and arguing. You're like, where did this come from? One of those ancestors is the one. There's a movie the master teacher recommended to us to watch called The Presence. And they show you that happen in real time, where, you know, because they're jealous of you having a good relationship, they try to ruin it. Then you have others of your ancestors who want you to be successful, and they will, like, you might get what we call intuition, or you're going down the road and they like, you hear a voice go, don't go down the road, turn left. So they're there to guide you as well. So you have to learn about all these personalities within you and learn how to silence the ones that are trying to pull you down. Going back to the subject of ascending and descending, because the beings within you, you have those that are ascending and those that are descending. So you want to ride the wave of the ones that want to move up. And when we say up, we're not just talking about moving physically up, we're talking about in vibration as well. So you want to stay on the ascending, keep moving forward, keep learning new things, keep aspiring to be the best that you can be, and then silence the ones that are keep pulling you down all the time. Yeah.
Is it possible then that we could get through food other people's ancestral spirits or
Yeah,
something?
exactly.
And-
That's what
And
you.
that could be evil spirits. And
Yeah. That's what we call disagreeable beings or disagreeable spirits. We
how
call
do you
that.
tell the difference? And that's the
You tell,
last-
you tell the difference because of what you end up doing. Your action will tell you, you know. So you're right that you have to eat foods that are for you. You have to be in places and do things that are good for you, not for your, you know what I mean, your downfall. And that's what religion and society and other races try to do, to make you feed. When you say spirits, or when you say the word family, you're saying familiar spirits, spirits that you're familiar with. So if you're giving your energy and attention to spirits you're not familiar with, the word, that's what family is. Family is not just my bloodline. It's like you can be more family with someone that it's not in your, you know what I mean, your direct family bloodline, because you're more familiar with them. You relate with what their energy is and what they do. So yeah, to be familiar, and they tell you that familiar spirits are of ancestors. So when you're calling on, say, Jesus or other races, spirits, they're not familiar, you're not familiar with them. They're not there to help you. In fact, they're just utilizing your energy for their benefit. That's why I was saying before that when people are calling on these names and like Lord, God, Yahweh, Jesus, all of that is not your family. So you're really channeling that energy in a direction to someone that is not really for you. So you've got to you got to figure out, okay, who are my ancestors? Who do I call on? This is where, even though you might hear the word in religion when they're praying, remember the word pray can be P-R-E-Y as well as P-R-A-Y. So there's always this kind of like agreeable and disagreeable. The disagreeable, they do things subtly. So you will say, I'm praying, thinking you're praying to someone to help you, but you're being prayed on by the same disagreeable beings you're calling on. You see what I mean? So it is very subtle. That's why they say that the devil will make evil fair seeming. So even though it's evil, it's made to seem cool. So in the movies, everyone will be smoking a cigarette. It's cool to be the guy that's popular or whatever, or the female that, and they make them smoke cigarettes. So you become, I want to be like them. I want to be cool, and then you pick it up, but it becomes a habit, and you then have to fight to get that habit away from you. I'm using cigarettes, but it could be anything else. It could be food. So yeah, it is about discipline, and we have a part track called 30 Spirits that talks specifically about these spirits. And we have another one, Black is Evil, White is Good. We have many scrolls. The master doesn't just teach us about this, he puts it in a scroll so you can study it and then learn how to overcome that. Right, let me answer the questions in the chat because I can see that time is fast approaching the end. Right, so we've got Michael Samuel 5599 from YouTube. Rahubat Saken, Itahuti Hakuf Atun, or Michael Samuels. My question is, that's the person asking the question. My question is, what's the difference between human emotions and how does it differ from the soul, which is the emotional body? Yeah, so human emotions a lot of the times deal with the lower vibrations of the material and physical world. So you're saying emotions, but it's energy in motion. So you're allowing the human aspect of you. This is why we were reading the celestial being or terrestrial being, because when, sorry, that's 9 o'clock, I guess. Yeah, 5 minutes to 9. Normally I do the chant at 9, so that's a reminder. But yeah, when you feed your human nature with the emotions that deal with human nature are normally on the low vibration. So that's the difference. The soul doesn't deal with the things on the lower vibration. It is ascending and tries to pull you up to higher consciousness. Yeah, which is, you said the emotional you, that's what we're talking about. It deals with the higher vibration or the etheric or the ether being. in you, tying you to those higher vibrations. Yeah, so that's the difference. The human part of you, it's like when I was saying before, where you've got, when you look at yourself, you've got the physical being, and you have the reptilian brain, which is based on dealing with the physical things. But then you also have your godly nature, which is really the Natharu in us and the soul. And the society and the world just focuses on your reptilian nature. So the things you watch, the things that they advertise, everything is down to you paying attention to the physical, the food you eat, how you look. Every day you spend so much time in the mirror, the clothes you, it's all about materialism, whereas the things of the soul are going to deal with the meditation, the relaxation, the mindfulness, and, you know, doing the things to help you elevate. All right. Got another question. Trying to beat, this is Michigan Grow Mino. Trying to beat the crowd, can you please tell me what gene did the Anunnaki that from our DNA? The question is not clear, but it's really more about the, you know, the barothry gland and the maiming of that gland that made you to not have your higher senses. So what we're talking about, like intuition, telepathy, psychometry, and clairvoyance, these are your higher senses. So that's what we're trying to regain by way of you proving yourself to be worthy to receive it again. And that's going to be an operation that is done for those who are deemed worthy, and it will be reinserted in the submental region of the, you know, this is the sub, like submarine underneath, and then it will interact with your brain or your mind to give you back the ability to use more of your brain power to do things on a more kind of like intellectual level. Right, we've got Mr. Blank. Who do I speak with concerning the app? I'm registered, but I have an issue with my login. That's a question that when people say that, we have to be very specific of what website, what app we're talking about. But if you look on, if it's the website, there will be a number at the bottom right-hand corner where you can use it. It's a WhatsApp number. You can leave messages or call, and we will get somebody to obviously deal with the query. So I think if you're talking about the language app, but I'm guessing because you haven't given me the information, but look at the number on the bottom left-hand corner and then send a message, and somebody will definitely get back to you and address that. Sonny Fro, peace to the gods, peace student teachers, I shook to everyone. I have fell victim to my sexual desires and they get in the way of my natural way of thinking. Are there any scrolls or text that may help? Yes, you can read Genetic Kiss. That's a natural fact. I think it's number 109. You can also read Partarak, Sexual Violations of wu-sabat. And you're right, just like any other vice, I spoke about smoking and drinking, but sex is one of the forces that is used. When you look at the word sex, phonetically, it's also six, because the E and the I are interchangeable. So the sex force is a very powerful force that they use a lot to keep you on the sixth ether. And so healthy, like balance in terms of sex as well, because you said sexual desires. Desires are pulling you down, ascending, because the chakra, the lowest chakra, is the one that deals with desires and the red that, you know, we read about. So sex is pulling you down to your sexual organs, and people find themselves in trouble when they indulge in alcohol or weed or cigarette and all of that, and go to a place where, a club or whatever, where, you know, it's like the beings within that building. A club is something you use to hit someone over the head with, right? And the environment is set up for sexual desires because of the way the people dress provocatively, the music that's played, the vibration of the music, with the alcohol or the drugs that you then take, you meet somebody and your mind is not in control. You just get attracted to the physical, and before you know it, you can end up exchanging bodily fluids, and you're taking on all those personalities from those beings, and then, or you might even have an offspring that brings you more problems. So yeah, you got to learn to, like we were saying, discipline yourself. Don't just give in to the desire, because you can end up getting a disease or any kind of, thing that comes from that sexual desire. Rahubat, this is from Milady B38. My question is, when divine beings descend to earth with a purpose to better humans, can they become influenced by earthly forces and lifestyle that lower their state of being and prevent them from ascending again? If so, what becomes of them? Excellent, great question. Yes, that can happen, and it has happened to beings already that get trapped here. So yes, you're definitely right, and that's why you have to maintain and remain. This is what, if you look at the whole Genesis story in Genesis 6, that's what happened. It was like these beings came down here and they had sexual intercourse with the daughters of men and produced offspring that were weak and wicked and just created chaos on the planet. So they basically been quarantined or bound here and they can't leave. So you say, what is the state of being prevent them from ascending? They can't ascend because you have beings that govern. So this is like a prison, for lack of a better word, and certain portals and gates open if you know how to open them to leave or come in. There are natural ones that open 3 a.m. every shadow hour for the souls that are supposed to leave. But what happens is that some beings sneak through and come here as well. And now they've actually started to learn about how to open these portals. They've got something called the Hadron Collider that they've been using, and have been opening portals and allowing and entities to come here. So Earth is a prison, and it has a lot of disagreeable beings and agreeable beings. Is that what it is you have to align yourself with one side or the other. And this is the ascending and descending thing I'm talking about. So you have a passage in the Bible that says Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. The dragons are the draconians, or the dragon race that people term reptilians. But there are different types of reptilians. They've come here, and a lot of them are in principalities of higher places where they rule and operate this draconian system on the planet. So when you say Michael and his angels, Michael is Michael or Murdoch, or the being Dr. Malachi Z. York in terms of the incarnation. So he's here to teach and raise those beings that are his army. So going back to your question, Matt, you to be in his army, you got to be serious. You can't be half-stepping. 1 minute you're here, the next minute you're gone, dibbing and dabbling into the 60th world. It's like you can't serve two masters, as they say. So you have to make that decision. Are you serious about this? For some people, this is just entertainment. It's another place to go and get good information. They don't really want to make the change to become the supreme beings that you can then be a part of the army. And, again, you have to be careful these days, because all you hear is the edit. They will just edit me saying, get an army together and put some other stuff in the AI. And the next minute, they've changed what I'm saying. Like, that's not what we're saying. So we have to prepare mentally, physically, spiritually, but we're not aggressive. We're not teaching anybody to do any destructive stuff. But we mentally come together, and we can overthrow and come, to the point where we actually have those 6 ether forces. We beat them. And every time they get beaten, they try to leave or go to another place and start the same crap again. And then someone has to be sent there to go and deal with them. But this time round, they're being wiped out for good. I know you've got the mic, but I just want to get through the questions in the chat so we can come back to that. Dara says, wow, big question, long. Rahubat, 6,000 years ago, these evil 200 fallen angels who came down to earth were part of the elite 144,000. If yes, why did 24 elders or other elites allow them to come down to earth? 24 elders or other elites, 144,000, have barothry gland which would detect evil 200 angels and block them from entering the planet's earth. Question is very convoluted and confusing. It's not 144,000. So you had certain beings that were cast down here. It was a third, right? So when you're saying 200, a third is from the 600, right? So 200 is a third, right? So these came down here. They didn't come, they were cast down. They were punished and sent down here. Trying to read some more of your question. And you're saying who came down to earth were part of the elite. I don't know where you're getting they were part of the elite 144,000 from. You say, if yes, why did the 24 elders or other elites allow them? The rest of your question is a little bit confusing, but what you have to realize is in order to be worthy to be returned back and being amongst those beings, you have to prove yourself worthy so that you don't go back and mess up that realm. So for example, imagine you got two rooms. One room is clean, pristine, white, clean, everyone in there is mellow. You got another room where people can smoke, drink, do all kinds of stuff. If you want to be a part of the other room, you can't come there with all the nonsense that you're doing in the other room, because all you're going to do is mess up the white room. So we have to be taught, and we have to show by our sincerity, and the test is wu-sabat and the master teacher teaching you to transform you to be able to be allowed into the white room. I'm making it simple, but that's literally like if you came in there and you got dirty boots and you stink and smelly and like you're going to mess up that environment, because that environment is not designed to have that. And this it came down to the planet as well, where originally it was an agreeable planet. It was a zone called the green zone, which was Nupu, and everything was cool until these beings were cast down here, and they came and they were actually secluded in a place called Zupu, which was the red zone. Okay, and it's okay if everyone stayed where they were, because it's like if you're agreeable, you stay in the agreeable zone. If you're disagreeable, you stay in the disagreeable zone. What happened is where people wanted to go from the disagreeable into the agreeable, and then they infiltrated and taught some of the agreeable ways, their ways, and like introduced them to vices and things that it was nice as a feeling for their physical human nature, like sex and so on, but it was harmful to their spiritual growth. So this is what's happened now. It's confusion. People that are amongst the people that are not supposed to be. So it's like chaos now on the planet. Most people don't even realize that they've been tricked or beguiled to be doing things that it's not in their nature. But you've learned and been trained to think it's cool to do these things. So you have to now unlearn all of that. So that's what took place. It wasn't like, it's done subtly by people being devious and coming in and pretending that someone might pretend to be your friend, but really they don't they don't really want to mess with you like that. So, but they won't come out outright and say it, but they will do things that that you're gonna recognize. Imana Kanas. Gosh, we got quite okay. 4 more. Imana Kanas. Rahubat. If those who born after 1970 don't reincarnate, where are they going after death? And in any way, why this reincarnation is seen to me as control and slavery without consent? That's funny. No, I was explaining about the golden children that are born between 1973 and the year 2003. Okay, they were born here for a purpose, and they have to be activated and touched by the master teacher for them to be fully aware and capable of doing what they're supposed to do. But what's happened is again, like what I've just explained, when those children were being born, there were fire children that were also being born at the same time, because we're living in a realm of duality, the 3D dimension. So there have to be a balance on everything, and so the fire children behave and act like the gold children, but they do the disagreeable things. And if you're a golden children and you don't know who and what you are, and you meet a fire child, they can then pull you in that direction, and you think you guys relate, but you don't. And then you end up being messed up until you come across someone who can teach you and drag you or take you away from that. So that's what I was talking about in terms of the 1973 to 2003. And it's not control, because they've come here to do a job, which is to help get rid of the 6 ether forces. And you chose to come as well. It's not like you were forced. Most of us chose to come down here because we wanted to exercise our own free will. That's why they teach in religion that you have free will, but you don't, because the science is that for every action there's an exact opposite reaction. So yeah, we wanted to come here to experience this, but when we get here, we realize that we want to get out of here. But to get out, you have to prove yourself to be worthy, because you rebelled to come here in the first place. So it's like if you think about you as a parent or someone that has children, and you tell your child, don't do this, and they still do it, then you're like, okay, you want to learn the hard way. So then you put them through teaching them how, like, what they did, there's a consequence to their action. And then, of course, if they behave themselves, they can come away from the naughty corner. So our ancestors look at us like we're their children, and they have to discipline us and prepare us to be able to go back amongst them, or else we're just going to bring the things that we're doing that it's not for that environment. Please, can you tell me in which school Baba said we can eat fish and turkey? It wasn't so much as a school, but it was an update, because as a parent, again, it gives us things we have to do and be disciplined, and sometimes we fight, and then as a parent, he's like, all right, you can have this. So it was more of an update, and it was during the schools of religion, but now obviously he's upgraded and updated many things. And beings are from different, so there are different aspects to the whole diet thing. That's why he said he didn't write a book on diet, because most people wouldn't follow it anyway. So he's like, there are people who are seafood eaters that came from the seas, so they want to eat seafood. And then you have diets that are for people from the land. However, he's like, don't eat anything with parents. So this is what I'm saying about the update. So right now, you really shouldn't, and it also depends on you how much you want to elevate based on the information. So fish have parents, turkeys have parents. So you shouldn't really be eating them either. Vincent, Where is and what is the mind? Where it is what people refer to as the mental reservoir or the Akasha records. It's not in your head. You have a connection to that mental reservoir, which is on higher realms. I gave you before the lowest realm is the physical, the material one. Then you have the spiritual one. Then you have the soul realm. Then you have the mental realm. So that's where the mental realm is. All right. And what is the mind? The mind is the source that you can connect to pull that information or what you need to be able to function and make decisions with your physical body. I think they're adding more questions as I'm going along, because I'm nearly at the end, and then I see more. Okay, Robert, is Christian baptisms a ritual? Yes, it is, and it's a ritual that you're literally being tricked to selling your soul, but you don't realize it because the soul is not collected immediately. It's collected when you're crossing over or transitioning, and that's why many people, when they get to that point on their dying bed or in a hospital or whatever, that they suddenly try to become religious, but they don't realize that in doing that, you're actually now giving your soul away. So it's all about beings that are waiting to collect your soul and use it for their benefit. All right? It is a ritual. That's why every religion starts off with telling you have to be born again or have to be baptized or have to take your shahada in Islam, because what you're doing is now giving your allegiance to these beings. I often wonder as a new Nuwapian if having been baptized years before when I was Christian still has some sort of effect or tie on me. No, because you can renounce it now because you now know the truth. So you can cut that off by basically applying wu-sabat, and you can't be judged on what you didn't know. But the minute you know and you're a Nuwapian, you now know what it was about, so you can revoke it. And so yeah, you can cut away from it by doing the chants and doing our stuff to eradicate that bond or that contract that you made. All right, the last question in the chat. No, there are more. I'll keep going until someone in here has a question, yeah? Have you got a question?
Yeah.
All right, let me come to you and then go back to these. Go ahead. And then I've got all the ones on Clubhouse as well.
Yeah, just to add to the turkey fish thing, just according to what we've been talking about in spirits, there could be spirits in food and stuff. The Levitical laws are good on this. The Most High forsakes eating birds of prey because they eat, dead things. Turkeys actually are vultures, so they love to go after dead things. It's the same with, I don't want to say chicken or...
No, you're right. Chickens are worse.
Chickens are
Yeah,
cross.
but everyone eats chicken.
That's why
It's
it's
by
available.
design, right? So even though I know you're quite new, so the Levitical, the books of the Bible and all that, this is extraterrestrials that were given these commands, because they really, if you read the whole of that book, it's talking about food for the gods. They want human meat, but that's a whole different subject that we can go into another time. But you're right that people don't eat pork, yeah, because it's been well taught don't eat pork because it's, as you said, it's a scavenger and it eats its own filth. The chicken does the same thing, and it's a more subtle way because today nobody really knows what chicken tastes like. So everything is chicken, and when you start to look at it, today it's very dangerous to eat any form of meat because there are many things being revealed about human meat being sold in these outlets, and there aren't that many chickens in the world to have so many chicken shops on every single road. Think about it, that's not just in Croydon, but in London, in the UK, in every other country in the world, America, etc. Everyone's constantly feeding you chicken, or what you think is chicken. Like it doesn't make sense. Even if you said how many hens, or like how would you produce so much chicken? So obviously that's an easy thing to work out. But when meat doesn't have bones, when fruits don't have seeds, you know they're GMO or genetically modified. So yeah, and it's a much healthier option as well. And people that are not vegans or vegetarians will say to you, "Oh, no, we need to eat meat for protein because we," but it's a fallacy, because all the biggest mammals on the planet, because people say I need to build muscle because I go to the gym and I need the protein. But the protein you're getting from the meat is the protein that the animals ate the vegetables to get. So it literally doesn't make any sense. So you might as well go straight to the source of protein with the vegetation than to get it secondhand through the animals.
And the spirits are the ones eating the food, basically. The spirits we inherited from families and
when we say
given to
spirits,
us.
everything has a spirit, and you're just intaking that when you take into yourself.
I do have the question I wanted to ask was about the name of the Most High, because when I was in this prison experience and I was having this out of mind thing where the spirits were rising, and I started to meditate in the Psalms, and I would say the name of the Most High with it. And I know I don't agree as well with Yah and even Allah and all these other names. I think they're to other entities that have.
Because we're running out of time,
Yeah.
I've already got your question. Yeah,
No.
I need to just answer it because I have so many other questions to get through.
Right.
You're still focusing on a religious mindset. So when you said, "What's the name of the Most High?"
No. The reason I say it is because when I meditate to this name, I have an incredibly peaceful calm. Also,
Brother, listen to what I'm saying, please.
Right.
Yeah, the name in the Bible of the Most High is Anu. That's what it's been translated as the Most High. Yeah.
So then,
Anu is a Sumerian deity. Yeah. You have to learn the names of our ancestors to call on those beings, and the Most High. When you say the Most High, you have to say Most High of what?
right, and this is where I was going to, because the name I find in the Hebrew is Ha-Hashar.
Hebrew is not. No, you're saying Hashem is what you're trying to say. Yeah?
No, Ha-Hashar. Hashar.
We're not Hebrew.
Meaning to cause to become.
What's your name, brother?
Shamash.
Shamash. You're new, and I know that this is new information to you, but you have to learn to.
Right. So would you then
listen.
say that the Hebrew is not a language?
Hebrew is not our language. We have our own language. Yeah. Hebrew is not even a language.
Right.
Yeah. Hebrew was something that was concocted to give you what you think is a language. Yeah. But the word Hebrew comes from Ibri, which is a action that took place when Abraham crossed the Tigris-Euphrates River, and they called him an Ibri. But the word Ibri ties into Nibiru. Yeah? Nibiru is these Anunnaki beings, craft, who the Most High is called Anu. And his two sons, Enlil and Enki, came to this planet. When you're reading the Bible, the stories in there are talking about Enlil, Enki, and his family, you see. So we have to be careful that we're calling on the right tones and the right names, going back to what I was saying before, or else it's going to affect you adversely. You follow me? So keep coming to classes, because we've literally now got 6 minutes left. We've got scrolls upstairs that will help you to start calling on our Most High, right? Which is Partner Babyanun. And when I say that, not in a spooky way, but like when I said, what are you measuring? When you say someone is the Most High, it's a title. Yeah. So the title of the highest being that you can call on now to help you is Partner Babyanun, the Master Yanun. Yeah. But let me take other questions.
Do you? So just the last one. Do you agree that the name would then be D that causes to become?
So
that would be the name given that causes to become. I am because I am. I be because I be.
That's mumbo jumbo. I am that I am what?
I be because be.
See, that's the mumbo.
So
that's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Because you speak about being.
You're asking a question, but you're not listening for the answer. You're listening to respond as opposed to hear what I'm saying. Yeah? I'm saying, when you said I am that I am, that title comes from Yahweh, yeah? Which is taken from the ancient Egyptians, Huhi. These are our ancestors. This is what I'm saying, that we have to learn the real tones and the being to call on. Huhi, you're dealing with who is the creative source or power of will that helps you to manifest things. Hika is what becomes what they call magic. Yeah, these are sciences, our sciences that we can utilize. But you have to know their names when we do our chants. That's why I'm saying that, because you're new, you have to learn these things. In our chants, we call on Seya or Seya and Hika, and we call on, even in the religious world, they all say Amen at the end of their prayers. Amen, Amin is from the being known as Amun. That's our ancestor. So what they do, they take our ancestors and then they desecrate it, distort it, and give it to you in a way that's not going to work for you. So when you're saying Yahweh and all these names in the Bible, they're not really, you think you're calling on a God that is good for you, but it's not. You see what I'm saying? So these are things you have to learn. But please, let me get through these questions because we literally have like 5 minutes left. Why don't we acknowledge I don't know what that is, the energy of Christ consciousness? We do acknowledge energy, but there are different forms of energy. All right, I'm going to stop with the Zoom questions because as we have a contract before we come to Earth, what is the purpose of the tunnels children suffering? Question doesn't make much sense. Your contract, that's what we were saying, that you have to break a contract that was forced on you and know what your real purpose is. My question, are the sacred orders still functioning? They are. Some of them are, not all of them are. So that's why we say to everyone, come to classes, get close to your local community so you can be given the information on these orders. Right, let me look at if there are any questions in the clubhouse quickly. I know it's a long time for people to be focused and their mind purely concentrating, because the way the society is at the moment, it teaches people to not have the ability to concentrate for long periods of time. Curtis, can anybody explain, if we don't die and death is just a disease for the body, how come the Hutu we reincarnated and used the master teacher as a vessel, not his other body? I don't know what you mean by his other body. Your question is confusing. We don't die because we keep coming back until we learn how to not come back. And the reincarnation of Tahuti, as Dr. York, is using his body to do the job in this 3D physical world. I'm going to run to other people's questions. We descend to ascend to balance. That's from Goddess. That's not a question. We descend to ascend to balance. We descend, I hear you, to learn, to ascend, and not to come back. Because originally we didn't do the cycle of coming and going and coming and going. So what we're really supposed to do is come, fulfill our purpose, and go back and not having to come back. But we've now been caught in this cycle of reincarnation, and you only have so many chances. And if you don't make it when you reach your last chance, then you dissipate and don't have the ability to progress to the higher realms and experience that existence. You say like a bow and arrow, we pull inwards to ascend forward. That's what I'm saying. Like the up and down is only the vibration that deals with when we're on this realm. On other realms, you don't have the same motion as we have here. When you say energy in motion or emotions, you're in a higher, different realm. The rules of engagement are completely different. Okay, let me see if there are any other questions. Lynn, Rahubat, my question is this inner eye, third eye, the inner being? Is the third eye the eye of the inner being? Another question, looking in the mirror to see or find the inner being. How is this done? We have a whole breakdown of that already, which we haven't got time to go into, but what you're doing is seeing a reflection in the mirror, and you kind of like, the more you look into the being in the mirror, you start to feel and know, like, are you the real being or the one that you're seeing in the mirror reflecting back at you, the real being? But the first part of your question, the third eye is, or we say the first eye, because it was first before these two physical eyes. So yeah, you're learning to see. When we say that you get your five senses back, higher senses, clairvoyance is one of those senses which we call clear. It's really clear vision when you're saying clairvoyance, the ability to see interdimensionally, so you can see and manifest things outside this 3D world. Okay, last question. Is the higher self your soul and your ancestors? If you read Soul, Soul, Spirit, Spirit, Patarak, it explains your different parts, like your spirit or your Ka'a, your soul, Ba'a, and then it goes into your etheric being as your Archak, which is relating to the what do you call it? The soul, but because you have two parts, two souls, two spirits, and then you have your physical body, the oversoul. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, we've run out of time, and just want to thank. Oh, we got one person, Colin. You definitely have.
Sorry to chip in. Can I ask a quick question?
Let Theo go first. He had his hand up before you, and then you can, and that would be definitely the last question. Why does everybody always wait to the last minute when we're closing to ask questions? Go ahead, Theo. You can unmute yourself and ask a question.
I haven't got enough time to ask my question. I just wanted to vouch for what you said earlier about the vegan diet.
Right.
Because I did the one I'm on with you and you recommended me to watch that Game Changers.
Yeah, did you watch it?
Yeah, I'm on vegan diet now and I feel brilliant.
Good.
I'm not gonna lie.
Good,
I'm
good.
way stronger, way mentally sharp. I feel really good.
Perfect. I like to hear when people actually go and do what we give them, information to do. All right, go ahead, Nicole. You're definitely the last question for the day.
Yeah, to the initial that you have on the initial that is on the crescent. I heard you were discussing it and you were saying what it really means. So I just want to know how many minutes it has, but I'll give it to what I can remember what you said. Unconditional love and love. Does it have any more about afterwards it?
Sorry, can you repeat your question one more time, please?
The initial that is under, that's right under on the crescent, the 6-pointed crescent that you
You said the
it
initial.
means yes,
Okay.
unconditional love. You say it means, and you mean it means love too as well. Does it have any more?
Yeah, because there are different types of love, and the ashuk is what we're focusing on when we say unconditional love. But even that has different levels. So everyone would tell you that is developing on a conscious level will say to you, all we need is love. Yeah. But then love gets desecrated in a lustful way or in the love of things, people, places, and things. And that love is based on conditions. Like someone will say, I love you because you cook for me, or I love you because you're pretty. I love you because something they benefit from. Whereas when we're dealing with our shuk, it's the love. So when you see the love that I just mentioned, they draw the heart like that going downwards, and they do all this red hearts for Valentine's Day, and that's supposed to be about love. But it's all based on giving people presents and killing plants and taking the flowers to give to someone else, right? But the ashuk, you turn that upside down, where the heart is pointing like that upwards, because when we're dealing with ascending and descending, you've got the heart that is going up towards divine love, and that's what we want to focus on. Where when we say you got to love unconditionally, it's not based on any conditions. But we definitely have run out of time, so what I would suggest is get the scroll called The 3 Types of Love. Yeah, it's a part of that. And you can ask your question again Tuesday when we do the lives, or next Saturday. And want to thank everybody for coming to class today. Without you,
That's okay. I understand.
and Tathir Afu Zamaltat. Yeah, we want to thank everyone for coming, and without you, we wouldn't have the questions. If you haven't seen the video we've done recently, that was yesterday, 12/12, go and watch that. We've got one even more and more, like, I can't even say it. It's just look out for that. That's coming as well. And support us. Get involved with the classes. Get involved with the stores. Go and build with the community and put in the work. Help. Let's build. Let's build these communities. Let's do the things that we keep talking about that we want. On that note, I want to say Wadu Musa Tawukum.
Wadu.
Wadu.
Where is the mom?
Wadu.
Sauta.
And Tathirafu.